Eve,
There you are.
what's going on? I just landed in Phoenix, so I just got home. I was in California. If anyone's following tennis, there's a big tournament in San Diego, so that's where I was at practicing because I'm getting ready for a comeback. So I'm pretty excited about it. But I am more excited to be chatting with you. It's been a
I'm
little
so
while.
happy. I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, different time zone. Did she think it was 5 o'clock her time zone? But I know you're too smart for that. I know you would
Yeah,
not
no, I
make
was
that
like trying to do
mistake.
math in my head. I try and like keep everything like synced up with time zones. We're Arizona, fun fact, Arizona doesn't actually change. So we're mountain time and sometimes we're Cali time. So we have to make sure everyone kind of knows which one we're at what time. So right now I'm Cali time, so I'm 3 hours behind you, but all good.
Okay, you look great. It's good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Good to have you. So
Thank
I'm
you.
going to I was just filling a little bit of time before you
There we go.
got here.
No,
But
you were actually great emceeing. I love it. You
yeah,
hired me.
okay, yes. Oh, thanks. Yes, we could take the show on the road maybe. I'll follow you. So anyway, I'm just going to intro you and intro myself and Big Vision, and just kind of for the people who don't know you, the people who don't know me, we'll just tell them a little bit about what we're about. And
Perfect.
so Big Vision is a foundation that I founded 7 years ago, and that was after I lost my son Isaac to an accidental drug overdose. And I recognized that there was a void in the world of recovery for young adults who were just trying to live sober, substance-free lives. And so we just started by creating, fun events that are just substance-free. We do everything that people could do on substances, but probably shouldn't anyway. And we just do them, with no triggers, and just, give people a fun, safe place to come, which is something that was really lacking for Isaac. It was hard for him to find a place to hang out, people to hang out with. So, this is what we've created, is this community of young adults in recovery in New York City. We just bought a space, it's going to be our first ever clubhouse, which is really exciting. That's more to come on that at the end of the month. But one of the things for Isaac that was really important when he was able to maintain his sobriety was physical activity. So whether it was playing basketball or literally putting on 5 layers of clothing and running the stairs in the building and just working up a sweat, that is really what got him through the day and what really helped him. So I believe so much in, the physical, obviously the physical, the mental, the spiritual, all of it together, but the physical is so important. And so that's always been a part of what we do. So now I'm going to introduce you and why I think I invited you on here, just because I love you and because you're a friend and you're the coolest. And we have kind of the same hair, except
I know.
yours
I'm just
is a
trying to
little bit,
keep up with
yours
you,
is,
Eve.
you're spikier.
You're
You're
my icon.
spikier.
You're my
Okay,
inspo.
I'm spiking it up. Um, so you're just an inspiration. I'm going to state it from the beginning. You're not, you don't claim to be sober or in recovery. You don't have an issue with substances, but nonetheless, you're an inspiration for so many people. And I think your story is really compelling and would be helpful for so many in our community. So to introduce Bethanie Mattek-Sands is a professional tennis player on the WTA Tour, former #1 player in the world, holds 9 Grand Slams, including the US Open, French Open, and the Australian Open, 2-time Olympian for Team USA, won a gold medal at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Amazing. Off the court, Bethanie's colorful and vibrant personality caught the attention of TV and broadcasting, where she now is an analyst for ESPN. And love watching you on that. You're the best. You're amazing. Beyond these accomplishments, Bethanie is a fearless trendsetter. You could see how she dresses on and off the court, with a dedicated fan base. She's a resilient fighter that comes back stronger from setbacks and brings the energy wherever she goes by openly sharing her journey in a raw and authentic way. Bethanie feels strongly being involved in a sport like tennis has given her an incredible set of skills that have created tools for life beyond the court. And she ignites hope for all those that follow her. And it is her spirit that makes her a champion, both on and off the court. And I'm just going to start with this, because I was looking you up and I saw this video, or it was a picture, whatever, and you're wearing this t-shirt and it says, "Attitude is free." And that, like, I looked at that and I was like, that's it. It's like, it's about attitude. It's about, like, that's kind of like said it all to me. Attitude is free. Just having a great attitude will get you so far. It doesn't cost you any money. Anyway, so let's start. If you would tell your story a little bit, your story of, I don't know if you want to talk about that, as they say, that grisly injury that you came back from. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's thank you for the intro. I appreciate it. You can intro me to any stadium court. I feel like that was a highlight reel. So thank you. I you know, I'm very proud of my accomplishments on the court, but I feel very strongly about the process and the journey and really seeing the wins in that. And I think you know, if you know tennis and you've maybe followed my career, you know, I've had a few setbacks. And I've, you know, been at the top of the game, and in a moment at Wimbledon, that all stopped, and it was a big shift. I injured my knee. I had a potentially career-ending injury, and you know, from that point, I went from being number one in the world, gold medalist, winning slams, to not being able to walk for 6 weeks, not being able to bend my knee for longer than that. And it was, you know, it gave me some time to think about a lot of things. Obviously, look back on, you know, what I've done on the tennis court, but actually more to assess where I was in that moment. And I think a big part of that was sort of accepting the injury. I think it's easy for us to judge ourselves, to be upset with our body. For me, it was my knee, to be and to feel sort of all this pain around not getting something unexpected happening or not being able to push through. And essentially all my tennis goals were so far away at that point. I wasn't going to come back playing for a year. So, you know, I had an opportunity to choose my attitude. That was a big part of this. Like, I could choose to feel sorry for myself, and actually it would have been justified. You know, nobody really would have judged me. I had something that happened that was painful. It interrupted my career, my way of making money, everything I've done for my whole life, and nobody would have judged me if I decided to be frustrated and sad and only express those emotions. But this wasn't my first injury. It was my biggest injury, but it's not my first. And one of the things that I learned from previous times was how much wasted energy we use on sort of thinking we can control things that we can't, and not accepting where we're at. And coming off that injury, I made a decision. I kind of had a mirror talk with myself, and I said, you know, you can choose to, you know, there's nothing you can do about it now. You can choose to enjoy where you're at. And I said, the question I asked myself is, if I hadn't hurt my knee in that moment, what would I be doing today? And I thought about it, and I was like, I would have been chatting with my doubles partner. I would have been reaching out to friends, you know, other than playing tennis. What are the other things that I would have done in my life? And I really made sure to do that. And that was a big help in sort of getting myself out of this funk and on the upward journey of healing myself. At the end of the day, the body is going to heal itself. It's just going to take time. And are we willing to be okay with the amount of time it takes? And what are we going to do with that time, right? Like our attitude, like I said, our attitude is free on that shirt. Like, every day we get to wake up and say, all right, how am I going to approach this day? How am I going to approach this rehab? And I created small wins along the way. It took me a year, but I came back. I came back to professional tennis. I competed at Wimbledon the following year. And, you know, it was, of course, a lot of physical hard work, but there was so much emotional and mental energy that went into my comeback that I almost don't even like to separate any of those. I think they all, they're a combination of everything. Being physically active obviously helps with a lot of things: hormones, recovery, overall feelings of wellness, which promotes mental positivity and emotional well-being. You know, but it's important to recognize that you have a say in a lot of those. You have a say in your attitude. You have a say in your vantage point. You have a say in action steps going towards a healthier lifestyle. Some of them might be smaller steps. Some of them can be bigger steps, but there's no reason to judge what you can do. Consistency trumps big steps any day. So if you have a choice between making a small daily step or waiting maybe next month to finally make that big change that's going to bring everything to you in your life, I would go with the small steps. And that's what's helped me be successful in my career. That's what's helped me come back from my injuries and challenges. That's what helps me stay fit, even at 37 years old right now. Actually, maybe I'm 38 right now, but, and to compete at the highest level. I'm at the point where I'm losing track of my age. I didn't think that would be a case, but it's not, but it's fine. I mean, I really, you know, part of that, you know, we like to use the word discipline. Sometimes there's a little negative connotation with that word, but it's really important. And it's something that can get you through a lot of challenging times. And, you know, obviously being an athlete my whole life, I've been active my whole life. And that's something that I know helps me feel better. There was moments where, yes, athletes overtrain and we got to watch how much we're doing. But I've taken time off to the point where I realize you actually start feeling worse doing nothing. And that's why I always promote, always love this feeling of activity, finding something that you enjoy. It's not about making yourself do something. What do you enjoy doing? Like, is it a walk around the park? Is it a walk with your pet? Is it playing tennis? Is it doing yoga? Maybe it's a little bit of everything. Maybe it's changing a little bit of everything, right? Like sometimes we can get stuck in a, you know, maybe we do yoga every other day. And then at one point we're like, oh, I have to do my yoga. I feel like then it's time to change it up. Right. Like the idea is to be active, and that's the important part. And that's something I've been always able to maintain through my athletic career, but it's something that I want to share with people that, you know, aren't necessarily doing athletics for their job and maybe need a little bit more, you know, nudging in that direction of physical activity.
Right. Well, I have to say, you could be the spokesperson for Bigvision, even because I was just like writing little things that you said. And it's like, you know, for people who are in recovery, people who are trying to live substance-free lives, for a lot of these people, there's a lot of judgment. You know, like you said, no one would have judged me, you know, if I would have just stayed in bed and like not made a comeback. Everybody would have kind of understood. I mean, what you went through was very public because, you know, it was, everybody saw you. That what happened to you, I mean, that must have been very difficult, number one, because everybody was like, oh my God, that was like a crazy thing that happened in front of the world. But some of the things that you said, like taking small wins, you said, small daily steps, you know, so a lot of people really, I mean, I think we should all live our lives one day at a time because God knows we have no idea. Like you had no idea that was going to happen on that day. The day before, you might have had plans for the rest of the year. I'm sure you did.
Yep.
And we just like, we really encourage people to just like take baby steps. You know, it's great if you're not, today you're not drinking or today you're not doing drugs. That's good. You just live in the moment, be present and worry about today, you know, and that's really like what you're saying. It holds true for our community. I mean, that's really, you know, people, they relapse and then people are like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. And like, I have to start all over now. And they feel like a failure. You know, and I mean, I imagine for you when you were like making your comeback, it wasn't just like smooth sailing from when you fell to when you started walking again.
Yeah, no, there's always going to be bumps along the road, no matter what journey you're taking. And it's really, you know, I encourage everyone to look to see if they can be adaptable and adjustable to things. And again, there's times where, you know, I might have a day that's not as productive as other days, but like, it's important not to judge ourselves, right? Like we get a new opportunity the next day to start something new. We're one decision away from changing our lives at any point, no matter where you are in your life. You're one decision away from shifting momentum from going here to here to here. And I feel like if people recognize that, you don't feel like you're in the hole so much, and you can take away those judgmental words that are running around in your mind. And that's when I talk about, you know, when we talk about mental health and mental wellness, I encourage people to sort of notice that internal dialogue they have. You know, a lot of times we're pretty cruel with ourselves, right? We're very judgmental with ourselves, and yet we don't want other people to be judgmental of us, and maybe we don't want to be judgmental with other people, and yet we sometimes don't stop to think about those words that kind of cycle in our heads, those quick reactions when we make a mistake. How do we react to ourselves, right? We're our hardest critic, and I think we can all go a little bit easier on ourselves. And then when it comes to action steps, set yourself up to win. Like there's a way to sort of set up your day that helps you make the right decisions that you see yourself making, right? And again, like for me, and this is my personal way of doing it, in the morning is a great time to sort of bring the energy of what you want that day to come. You have a fresh start. You just woke up. How do you want to look at that day? Choose to hang on to something positive. Find something that's true to you, that's real to you, that's positive, and just get the feeling of that momentum. Because as soon as you change your vantage point, you start seeing things in a different light, right? And so when you can start that with yourself a morning, and I'm saying morning because that's the easiest. You haven't had time for anything to add up, to build up judgments, haven't stacked yet. And it's just something to help sort of make those steps that you see yourself doing, that you want to do throughout the day. And again, there's no reason to bite off more than you can chew, even though you might have these big goals. Like I said, when I was injured with my knee, I wanted to come back to tennis, but it wasn't going to happen for a year. So I had to accept that no matter how much I did. I don't care how disciplined I was. If I trained, if I did rehab for 12 hours a day, if I did for 18 hours a day, I wasn't coming back before a year. Okay, so what can I do now? What's efficient? What's effective? What else can I work on? What books can I read? What other passions can I find out in my life? There's so much to explore out there. And sometimes we just need to get outside of our headspace a little bit, let go of those judgments, set ourselves up for some wins, make it. And a lot of times I like to stack habits. So if there's something that you do first thing in the morning, let's say you want to hydrate more, you put your water bottle right next to your bed so that the first thing you do that you see when you wake up is that water bottle and you take a sip. Now you've already started your day with one of your goals accomplished. And that's what I mean by making things easy for you to create these small wins, right? Sometimes we only celebrate when we have the trophies, when we've done something for 6 months and we can check that off our list. Like, nah, it starts with sipping that water first thing in the morning. All right, I got one win for the day already and it hasn't even been 10 minutes, right? And like continue throughout your day and set yourself up for all these wins, and you will slowly gain momentum. Then over time, you'll look back and you'll be shocked at how far you've come. And that's the idea behind celebrating these small wins.
I love that. I love that. And it makes so much sense. I know that, you know, one of the things that we tell people, like when they come to a Bigvision event, it's like, you know, we did knitting classes and people are like, oh, I don't know, I'm not going to knit. I'm not going to learn how to knit. And then we say, just show up. So you're hanging out with people, you'll learn something new. And it would be like, you know, 10 minutes into it, there was silence in the room and everybody was just like focused and like doing this. And they would they'd come in and say, I want to knit a sweater. You know, I want to make a blanket. And it's like, wait a second, you don't even know how to knit, right? You want to like, you want to go and you make a sweater. That's not an easy thing to do. Just make like a little square, make a hat, make something simple. But everybody would come in with like these grand ideas, want to go for them. We're like, no, one step at a time. You're going to learn how to knit today. You're going to make something small. We would make sure that they walked out of there with something, a little bracelet or something that was already made. So you feel accomplished. You feel like this little thing, I've accomplished something. This is all me, you know? And one of the things what we also like to do, you know, I used to think maybe Bigvision should just focus on like one activity, you know, just basketball or just this, but we do everything. We do basketball and we do go-karting and we do knitting and we do, you know, trapeze and like something for everybody, and people can try new things. And it's just like getting the endorphins flowing, and like that really just like helps people, that release that you get. I'm sure that's like for you, I mean, I see you as like the most positive person out there. You've got this amazing energy, and just like you like exude this like happiness and joy, you know, because I think you love what you're doing also. I don't know, and it must be something, it's well part of who you are, but it's also part of like just staying active and being, you know, living a healthy life.
Yes, no, definitely. And I think a lot of people might look at me and say, oh, Bethanie's naturally energized. And it's not the case. Like, there's definitely different personalities. I'm outgoing, but believe it or not, I had my moments. I struggled with recovering after losing matches mentally and emotionally, and it just took its toll, and I would be super critical on myself. And at one point I just realized I didn't want to feel that way any longer. So what was I going to do about it? And there's a big personal responsibility that you can take on, and it might seem scary at first, But once you take that step, you realize how empowering it is, how many things that you are able to dictate. There's a lot of things we can't control. Let's let those go and let's figure out what we can. And like you said, attitude is one way. Our perspective is another way. And I love what you said about the knitting. You're starting with something small. You're learning something new. A lot of people actually don't even like to start new things because they want to be immediately good at it. They want the reward. They want to make that intricate sweater that usually takes you years to learn before you can make that. And as kids, we're better at picking up things because we're still discovering what we like, right? And we're okay failing at things. And that's part of that is what we should carry on to when we're adults. And I like that Bigvision likes to do a lot of different things to get people trying new things. I think that as adults, we almost lose that a little bit. And sometimes that's why we stick to things that we know, because it's like, well, I'm good at this and I'm not going to go outside this because I might not be great at this. And it really takes away from us experiencing everything that it is to be a human. And so, you know, and for me personally, being an elite level athlete, me starting new things, I'm used to being like the best in the world at something, and then I start something else, I'm like, yeah, I can't even like do it, right? And like I have to watch my own thoughts and judgments on that and give myself that space. Like I don't need to put those expectations on myself. I want to like look for other things that I can learn and grow. Isn't it fun that we don't know everything, that we're not good at every single thing, that we can kind of focus up and go through these details and learn a different skill or try something new? It really adds to the excitement of our life if you really think about it. But I think, you know, again, staying physically active, and you'd be surprised at how much even 20 minutes of movement, 25 minutes of doing something new really elevates your mood and how you feel. They really go hand in hand. And you know what it is? Like we look at some people and say like, oh, they're naturally gifted at that, or they're naturally athletic, or they're naturally inclined to be good at this. It's habits. It's practice and habits. And that's why the best way is to start small and have these small wins. Again, I think everyone would be surprised if you just did a little bit every day and you look back after 4 weeks, after 6 weeks, after 2 months, you really realize how far you've come. And you can do that with anything. You can start from scratch and you can build it up like that and really enjoy it. I mean, again, like we're kind of here to figure out where our passions lie, what lights you up. And, you know, it's, you're going to try some things that you maybe don't like, and that's okay. Like, it's not a waste of time. Figure out something you don't like. That just leads you to something you do like. And for me, carrying that emotional energy and that positivity, guess what? Yes, some people are naturally inclined to be more like that. It's still a habit. It's still recognizing what's your reaction when things don't go your way. What's your reaction when there's a challenge? What's your reaction when there's a speed bump, when someone says something that you don't like? We get to control those. When we talk about attitude, that's something that we can be aware of and really set our intentions. And again, so the same thing with being positive every day, that's practice. That's a habit you can build. And again, start small. You don't have to just be like this effervescent to 12 hours a day like positive person. It starts with giving a compliment to someone you don't know once a day. All right, let's just see how it feels, maybe. And you'll be surprised at when you start doing things like that and adding things like that, how the momentum of being positive grows within you and it feels good. So you do more of it. And that's how you practice.
100%. I love that. So I'm just going to put it out there. If anybody has any questions, we can just keep talking. But if anybody has any questions, just put them in here, and then we'll ask Bethany any questions. I don't want to forget to leave time for that.
I'm an open book, guys.
What?
I'm an open book right now. You can ask me
I thought
anything.
you said you wrote a book. I was going to say.
I am writing a book, though. I am writing a book. It's coming out in 2024. So I just started it. And it's funny because it's actually going to be in and around my injury, but then it's going to be my tennis journey. And I'm going to go back into memories of when I was a kid and some of the key moments in my life and what I've learned from them, my takeaway, and sort of my journey. So you'll get an even broader sense of the Bethany you see now, and maybe, you know, what it took to get there. And that's not coming out till 2024. So we can do plenty of interviews before then too. So
yeah, that's exciting. You definitely, yeah, I'm glad you write a book. Now, let me see I just saw a question. What advice you would give someone who's struggling to get back into their sport? Well, I guess it
Back into
depends.
their sports. So and that depends. I need a little more specifics. Is it
Right.
pro? Is it just casual? But I think for anyone getting, let's even say you had an injury and you like to play league tennis, like it's no different. It's still, even though I'm professional, it's still someone joy to be active. I think it's small steps. Like what's in the way? If it's that injury, let's figure out how to get strong again and gradually build up. So many times people want to come back so quickly to their sport. And I, again, this is something I learned being injured a few times in my career. You want to come back as fast as possible, right? And sometimes you come back too soon, and I've done it, and you re-injure, or you're compensating, so you injure something else. That's why it's important to sort of have this build and to really notice how you feel, especially physically. And if you want to come back to a sport, have a plan coming back. Like, okay, I want to be able to do this move. I want to be able to jump rope X amount of times before I can even start to think that I could, go play a full basketball game. Or if it's just coming back to the basketball court, you hurt your knee. Let's start with some shots, some free throw shots. Let's start with a couple layups. Don't stress your knee. I feel like there's so many things that we can gradually start coming back to sports or things that we love a little bit at a time. Just notice what you feel and what can you do right now. That's the question to ask yourself. What am I able to do right now, and go from there? And then you can just keep building from there. The body, and again, if this question was around sort of some injuries, the body heals itself. And we there's a lot of strength programs. You can go out there, we can talk to trainers, we can talk to injury specific doctors, and they can give recommendations on exercises. I mean, YouTube is a wonderful tool for things like that, even if you want to get specific with shoulders, neck, knees, and a lot, and you can really learn a lot. But I think having that plan and just being gradual and knowing that you can do something now. I think the expectation is I want to go from doing nothing to playing a full tennis match, 3 sets, 3 hours. And there's a lot of things that you can do in between that. So let's just like count those as wins and go gradual.
Somebody asked, what did your support look like from people around you? I mean, I know your husband, so I know he was definitely there for you.
Yeah, you know what? I had a lot of support from the people around me. I mean, I have, obviously I have my husband, Justin, who was carrying me to the bathroom after my surgeries because I couldn't walk, carrying me to the shower, I had a little bell. He was getting me water and food. And honestly, that disappeared really fast. So I had the bell for like 24 hours and that was gone. I don't know why.
I can't imagine you would have abused that at all.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this isn't happening. So, but it's, I think an important part about that is you can have a strong community, and it can be from friends, it can be from family. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes there's a group on the internet that there's a Facebook page where you feel like you can connect, because I think at the end of the day, I didn't make the biggest advancements and adjustments in my life post-injury in my career until I started accepting things within myself. So as much as a support network as I had, you can only do so much with people just telling you that you can do it. To people saying like, hey, I got you, it's fine. But I want everyone to sort of own it themselves on what you can control, what you can do from your vantage point. I think that's important. That's where you're going to feel the power, really. And again, this isn't discouraging community or the people around you, because it's super valuable. But let me tell you that you can dig inside and find your power, find your positivity. There's so much that you are able to do. You are so capable of doing so many things. And once you touch that, then you start putting this different energy out there. And ultimately that sort of brings other people into your community and your friend network and your family. So I know it's challenging because not everyone has a family that is necessarily extremely supportive of what they're doing. And that's okay. Like you'll find this community, you'll find the community out there, but your personal power is greater than it all. I promise you that. And that's what I want my message to be, is really like diving into yourself and figuring out what you're able to do.
Yes, I completely agree with that. But community is also so important for anything, especially for us. So I'm just going to throw a plug out there. By the way, somebody asked if you can make donations from out of the US, and the answer is yes. You can go to our website if you want. It's bigvision.nyc, or yeah, I think that's it, bigvision.nyc. And you can make donations. And we are a nonprofit, and we're always looking for donations. I know, Bethany, probably the people that follow you are not people necessarily in recovery, but you never know, because people in recovery look like everybody else. And there's a lot of people out there who are just like looking to live healthy lives anyway. And I'm sure a lot of those people are following you. So, now they'll know a little bit more about, about Bigvision and about what we do if you go on our website or follow us on social media. There was another question. Oh, somebody said, not a question, but thank you so much for the positive energy. It truly affects us all. Sometimes it's all we need. Somebody also asked a question about, since the pandemic, how things changed. What did that say? Hold on. What did your support look like? No, that we said. Hold on. Oh, how have the social interactions involved in sports changed since the pandemic? Is it more difficult? Social interactions in the sports? I'm not sure.
Well, I think in general, I think social interactions, through the pandemic, we went from being, there was a lot of isolation, which would have been really challenging for a lot of people emotionally and mentally. And I think, as a...
But I just asked because I remember talking to you when you were like locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks in Australia or whatever. Like, how did you get through that?
So yeah, I went to Australia, and this was back in 2021. And, I was in one of the planes that required everyone that was on that plane had to stay in a hotel room for 14 days. We weren't allowed to open a window. Our windows didn't open in our hotel. We weren't allowed to walk into the hallway. So for 14 days, we stayed locked in a room. And that was kind of came as a surprise because I wasn't expecting that. So I wasn't prepared for it. So I really, like, as soon as you heard that news, you had to start planning. And what got me through, what got me through that, Eve, was having a daily plan of what I was doing. So it's easy. Like, I'm in my room. I could do anything I want. There was nothing I could do. I could watch Netflix for 19 hours. Like, I could sleep whenever I want. Like, it was a free for all, right? And it was important for me to have a certain time that I woke up. There was a certain time where we rearranged the room and we set up workout equipment and we set out a mat and we did push-ups and we did sit-ups and we did things without having access to any of the gym equipment. And I feel like that's what helped me get through those 2 weeks. And it just showed me the importance of having that daily discipline of putting things down in your calendar. Guess what? I put meditation on my calendar. I give myself that time. It's a priority. Put that workout window, that walking window, put it in your calendar. It's something that's a priority. Plan for it. And that's when I was isolated and couldn't do much. That's what really helped me get through those 14 days.
Having a plan.
Yep.
Having a plan. What is Tennis United? Tennis United kept my spirits up in the pandemic. Who is that?
Yeah, so Tennis United was the show that I did. We actually won an award.
Oh,
it was
right.
An ATP player. His name was Vasek, and he a Canadian tennis player, awesome guy. Actually, I was just texting Vasek right now, but we had a show during the pandemic when there was no tennis, and we interviewed and Zoom called with players around the world, my friends, my peers, and asked them what they were doing since there were no tournaments going on. And it was really a blast. We did games. We connected with a lot of the tennis community. It's funny, a lot of the players even said, it's great to see everyone. We haven't seen a tennis player for 6 months. Like, it was amazing to connect. And I think I realized, how, even though we're all competitive against each other, we realize that we can connect in this amazing way, that we're all traveling the world, we're all playing tennis, and how important it was to get those social interactions. Even though it was via Zoom, it wasn't in person. It's really an important part of life. And again, it's even if you're one of those people that you do okay isolated or you like your alone time, I think those social interactions are something we can all plan for too. We don't need to overdo them, but it's definitely something when you talk about planning this balanced daily schedule, this balanced life, physical activity, put social interactions and connections in there as well. Maybe it's a 30-minute phone call with a best friend. That, you know, that interaction is just as important as meditation. I'm not trying to say one is more important than the other. That connection helps elevate your mood. It can like change your day. And I've had many friends that have done that for me. And so that was something Tennis United was able to do, but it's something that I would sit here and encourage everyone out there to put that as part of their daily plan, along with your physical activity. It's that friendship connection, that family connection that's really valuable. And we kind of underestimate how much that can elevate our mood.
Now, here's a question. Did you use your past injuries help? Did you use your past injuries to help you get through this break again?
Definitely. I would say what I've done this go around was I gave myself time and space to really recover. So much of my career was a rush to get back to playing tennis. And it could be for good reasons, because I love playing tennis, right? I love competing. I love being at tournaments. But there's no reason to rush your body if it's not ready. There's no reason to rush your mind if you're not ready to compete. And so I sort of challenged myself to only come back to training, only come back to practice when I was ready to come back, when I felt good, when I was like, hey, I'm missing it a little bit, when I was excited to get back on the court. And now I'm excited to go train, because I feel like when you're in that state, you're so much more productive. I mean, and I've had amazing practice. I made so many changes this year too. With that amount of time off, I was like, what percentages can I get better at? Where are those drop-offs? And I was able to focus on those and give myself time to improve, give myself time to fail, give myself time to test things and tinker things. So I changed my racket. I changed some of my strategy. I changed my footwork patterns. All these things that you would think at this point in my career would be really difficult to do. I took advantage of my time off and made some of those changes. So actually now I'm really excited to be a new player when I come back to competing.
When are you coming back to compete?
I'm coming back next week in Guadalajara. I know next week is my first tournament back in 1 year. I can't believe it's been that long. Just to preface it, I had a shoulder injury starting at the end of last year, and that's kind of what I was struggling with through this whole year. And so I had frozen shoulder on my left arm. But, you know, what I was able to do a lot of footwork things, just because obviously my legs and everything felt healthy. The reason I wasn't playing was because of my shoulder. So it's just an example of, even though I wasn't able to compete and I had something that was painful, I really recognized what I was able to do and expand and improve on that. So I feel like I'm going to be a new player. I'm starting to play next week, and then I might play a couple more events towards the end of this year. But the goal is to have a big 2023 and play a full schedule.
The rumors are true. You're playing with Layla.
So Layla Fernandez, I was supposed to play with Layla Fernandez, who is awesome, but unfortunately we had a miscommunication. We were looking to get a wild card into the event, and she actually accepted too many wild cards. Anyway, it's a lot of rules, but I'm playing with someone different. Although I will play with Layla at some point next year, I think. I've chatted with her about playing some doubles. She's a great player. If you don't know, great Canadian player. Super nice girl. So at some point I'm going to play with Layla, but actually in Guadalajara, I'm playing with Vika Azarenka.
Oh, wow. Cool. Wow.
So I'm really,
That's amazing.
I've known Vika forever. We've never played doubles. I've only played against her. So I'm actually really excited to team up with her. It's our first time playing together, my first tournament in a while. So I think it's going to be awesome. I feel like both Vika and I will bring a lot of fire and energy to the court.
Oh, so I definitely need to know when that's going to be. I'll have to, what's it going to be on? It's on Tennis Channel or ESPN or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tennis Channel will be covering it, and it will start next week. So I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Guadalajara, so that I'll be there a few days early, but the tournament starts next Monday.
Well, first of all, I want to say, I have one more question that somebody posed here, but I want to say I appreciate your joining us today. I know that you're leaving tomorrow. Who's your favorite mixed doubles partner? And I have one more question.
You're going to make me pick. Someone's going to
wait.
Make me
who
pick
is
my
it that
favorite?
that? It might be somebody. Ryan Smith. No, okay. I don't know. Maybe it was someone you had played with before. That's why.
It was. Yeah, I know. He's like testing the waters. Like, by the way, that's like picking your favorite child or something, right? Like, that's like, we can't do that. So I won my gold medal with Jack Sock, who's an awesome player, All-American. He's super fun to play with, a lot of energy, plays big, amazing tennis player. I won French Open with Mike Bryan. I've won Australian Open with Horia Tecau from Romania, who just retired. He's one of my absolute favorite people, super sweet guy. And then obviously Jamie Murray, who's Andy Murray's brother. I've won a couple with him. I had nicknames for everyone. Jamie and I was Gentleman and the Bee. But really, I've been lucky to have some awesome mixed doubles partners. For me, doubles is social. I love playing doubles because I have a buddy out there that I get to talk with and compete with, and we get to figure out how we're going to beat another team. And so I really feel lucky that I've had some awesome guys. So I'm not going to pick any favorites, but I just wanted to name, a few of the guys that I've won titles with.
Okay, what do you think about, I can keep going. We're going to have to stop in a minute, but I can keep going. What do you think about like all these retired tennis players who are now playing pickleball?
Oh, I know. It's funny because I was just watching an interview with Sam Querrey, who obviously everyone knows. I played mixed doubles with Sam as well. We made finals of US Open. Oh, wow. Lost in a tiebreaker. I actually had a blast with Sam. He's a fun guy, but it's interesting. I mean, pickleball is really taking the country by storm. I mean, it's one of the fastest growing sports, and I have played it before. I've also played, there's paddle in Europe, which is, it's different than pickle, but similar. And I feel like, there's a transition. It's something, if people love it and they can stay active, and it's something that helps eye-hand coordination, footwork, you're burning calories, you're socializing, like I'm here for it. So I'd be curious though, how the tennis players do transitioning to pickleball. We're going to see. Yeah. Sam, I think, is going to be competing in some tournaments here soon. He just made that announcement.
I heard Federer's going to. Is that
I feel like tennis players would be pretty good. I mean, obviously you got to learn the feel of the paddle and sort of how it comes off. That's the change
you'll be playing it one day. I'm sure you'll do it one day. Everybody's
I'll figure it out.
Wait, would you ever consider playing with who? With Ariana Sabalenka in doubles?
Wait, say that one more time, Eve. Would
you ever consider playing with Arina Sabalenka in doubles? Arina.
Yeah, Arina. Actually, Arina, she hasn't been playing doubles quite as much. Obviously, she's won some Grand Slams. She was winning a lot of her slams when she was playing with Elise Mertens, who's Belgian player, is very good as well. Definitely, I think there's some great potential doubles partners. I'm still chatting with a few players for next year. I haven't made an announcement of who I'm starting the year with yet, but Arena's always on my list. I mean, she's a powerful player. She likes playing doubles. She's intimidating at the net. I mean, I'd rather team up with her than play against her. So she's definitely on my doubles list for sure.
Now, the last question, which passed a while ago, was the mind-body connection. I'm sure that, and we've kind of discussed it, but you look at certain sports or certain athletes, and you're like, they're amazing, but they have, like, you see, like you or anybody else, Roger Federer or Nadal or anybody, and you look at them and it's like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why do they seem to be nervous, or why do they seem to like not be playing as well today? And I always say, it's definitely, they know how to do it, but it's the mind. It's whatever is going on in their head that kind of stuff. I feel it's so like key to being great at something. It's not just the physical, correct?
No, 100%. I mean, if we just compared if it was just about physicality, then we would say the players or the athletes with the fastest times, they can bench the most weight, like they would all be winning everything, right? And that's not always the case. Obviously, there's a certain set of skills for each sport, including tennis, but the mental game, sometimes some of these matches, if you really look at the stats, it's only 1 or 2 points that's the difference maker for them winning or losing matches. And and as a player that likes to look for momentum shifts and mentalities, that's something I'm always looking at my opponent for. Where's the crack? When are they getting frustrated about a mistake? Those are all mental errors. They physically might still be in shape. They actually might be in better shape than I am. Are they getting frustrated though if I hit slices? Are they really getting upset when they're making mistakes and they're looking at their coach and then they're losing a couple more points? The mental game is where it is all at. And actually the mental and emotional part are so connected with that body. That's why at the beginning of this conversation, I really wanted to say that all of that is interconnected. You can do separate things for each, but they're all interconnected. That's why I like, even when I do physical things, I like to be mentally present while I'm doing them. I like to be, where's my emotions? Do I feel good doing this? Does this make me happy? Like, am I getting something out of it? Like, I want to be in touch with all aspects while I'm doing my activities, while I'm training, while I'm in the gym, while I'm doing fitness, while I'm playing tennis, because that's what brings you success. That's what's going to help you recognize what you need to change. Also, really, if you can be in that mental place, you'll, like, the body will follow where the mind go, where the focus goes, everything else follows.
Right. Someone's asking the percentage you would say physical shape versus mental, but I don't think you can actually put a percentage on that.
I know. Are they going to hold me to the numbers?
Yeah,
I really think, you know, it's funny because I think there's a famous quote in sports, maybe it's in tennis, and everyone's just like, it's 90% mental. And it's like, I mean, it could be, right? Like, but
90?
I'm saying mentally being present while you're physically active. So why are we really differentiating? Is that mental or is that physical? You're doing both. So I think to say 25% this, 90% that, I think we should be fully vested in everything we do. If you're physically doing something, are you mentally there? A lot of people like to be distracted when they're working out. I actually like to know. That's why we focus on our breath. Our breath helps us stay in the moment, mentally, emotionally, and then we physically can feel what we're doing. So really, to answer that question, I would say they're all one. They're all one. And I think each aspect has to be focused on whenever you're doing when I'm playing tennis, I have all three factors factoring into how I'm playing.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think we're going to have to sign off, though I can go on talking to you for hours, but just pick up the phone and call you and we can talk after you're back from Guadalajara. But I really want to say, first of all, when you're in New York next time, we're doing this in person in front of a group of people, because as great as this is, IG Live, it's not the same. In person, you are even more bubbly, and your personality literally like jumps out at people, and you're amazing, and I thank you. And I just want to, you know, say to everybody one more time that bigvision.nyc, you can go on our website. We are a nonprofit. We are, you know, we need to raise funds for our clubhouse, which is going to be the first ever in New York City. We're very excited about it. And Bethany, when you're in New York City, you'll come and visit. Definitely. Come and see our place. And good luck in everything. I'm sure it's going to be amazing no matter what, with your positive energy and everything, positivity. You're going to have fun no matter what. I know that.
Yes. No, we'll definitely do this again. And Eve, like you said, would love to do this in person. I feel like that is a whole different energy level, and really, really excited for you and for what you're doing with Bigvision. Really excited about this clubhouse. So I love it. I love being involved. I love you. Can't wait to see you again when we're in New York City for sure, but we'll stay in touch. Say
hi to Justin.
I will.
And have
He's
a
over there cooking dinner already, so
oh, yum. Good. Okay, good. All right. Have a good one. Thanks, Bethany.
All right. Bye, Eve.
Bye, everyone.